Hello, and welcome to Project Management 101. In this introductory lecture, we're going to back it up and talk about why project management exists before jumping in to learn the tools of project management in subsequent lectures. So the learning objectives for this 10-minute segment is to understand what project management is and why we organize work this way. We'll talk about the impact of project management on teams and project outcomes. And finally, we'll distinguish between project management and program management. Why do we even bother with project management? Because efficiency, accountability, and psychological safety lead to excellent project outcomes. And when people are part of great projects, their job satisfaction and retention increases. I've organized this slide in the same format as a driver diagram to show you how the tool works. You can learn more about it in the root cause analysis lecture. A driver diagram visualizes cause and effect. On the right is the outcome. In the center are the main factors that drive that outcome, hence the name driver diagram. On the left are the details that influence those core drivers. You'll see here that efficiency improves when everyone rows in the same direction and avoids duplicating effort. Accountability thrives when tasks, deadlines, and roles are clearly defined and assigned. And psychological safety exists when people understand their role and its purpose and when they feel heard. Here's a little bit more about why we care about project management. First, it's the set of tools that connects our operations, what we're doing, to our strategy, what we're trying to achieve. It becomes our roadmap, showing who's doing what and when. A clear project plan is essential for accountability. Project meetings provide space to set expectations and for team members to report progress with a bit of constructive peer pressure. The project plan also tells project leaders what to track and helps organizational leaders stay informed. Good project reporting gives executives early warning when things are off track so that they can step in and remove barriers or adjust expectations. You never want your executives to be surprised when something doesn't go well, and this is how they see it coming. Finally, a good project manager documents decisions along the way. This creates a record of what was decided, who was involved, and why. That way, we're not revisiting the same decisions repeatedly. We can keep moving forward. And if a decision is revisited years later, we have the rationale behind it and can evaluate whether it still holds given new circumstances. What is a project? This slide is so simple, but so important. We use the word project all the time, but when we're assigning a project to a project manager, we mean something very specific. It has a start and an end date. This may seem obvious until you start thinking about a project you saw draw out indefinitely. It's important to close a project to reflect on learnings, celebrate success, and create capacity for the next project. Next, a project has measurable goals. This is how you know when the project needs to be adjusted to be more effective, or when you've met the goals and you can end the project. Next, every project has a clear scope. This means we're drawing a circle in the sand. If it's in the circle, it's in scope. And if it's outside of the circle, it's a distraction. Defining scope keeps us focused on our goals so that we can accomplish our priorities and not get lost in the laundry list of things that we could do. Finally, it's a change from what you were doing previously. This is important because it distinguishes projects from programs, which I'll explain on the next slide. The abbreviations PM and PM can cause a lot of confusion. Project managers and program managers are not interchangeable titles. They're distinct roles, and people may be better suited to one or the other. Project management is how we implement change management, while program management is how we continue to improve upon routine work that once began as a project. Sometimes a program manager is asked to put on their project manager hat, or vice versa, and especially in nonprofits where we're wearing many different hats. This is not inherently a problem. In many organizations, it's necessary, but it's important to recognize when it happens because these roles require different skill sets. When someone is asked to stretch into a different role, leaders should acknowledge it by providing the right support and recognition. When it comes to authority, program managers typically have hire and fire responsibility, while project managers often manage through influence rather than direct supervision. Program managers control employee schedules, whereas project managers set timelines to keep projects moving. So the way that they interact with and manage time is very different. Both roles are responsible for performance management, but again, in very different ways. Program managers evaluate performance based on job expectations and assignments, while project managers track the performance of a project itself and influence team members to meet collective goals. When things go wrong, a program manager works with the employee and maybe even HR to address performance, whereas the project manager escalates barriers to the project sponsor. Okay, now it's your turn. For each task, determine whether it would typically be completed by a project manager, a program manager, or both. Feel free to go back to the last slide and take a screenshot if that's helpful while you're working through this. Pause here, and in the next slide, I will show you the answers. All right, so your answers may be slightly different because you have a different context and framework, but generally, this is how I would organize the work of program managers versus project managers. You can pause here and check your work. Next, I wanted to introduce you to our project team. In subsequent lectures, we dive into a case study to learn about the tools of project management and to solve a real-life problem. In this case, the problem is that patients were returning fit tests to a healthcare organization at a rate of 65%. But in subsequent years, that has now dropped to 25%. The goal of the project is to get that return rate back up to previous levels or better. The learning objectives for subsequent sessions in project management are to understand the tools of RACI, which is for role clarity, project charters, which helps us to kick off a project and stay on track, and SMART goals. We'll learn how to hold project team members accountable using task delegation in project planning workbooks, and we'll see the positive impacts to employees of serving on a project team. And finally, we'll learn how to integrate risk management and decision logs into a project plan. This is the course catalog. So a project is change management that is being implemented. And then once the project is over, it becomes a program. So that's where you see project management, program management, and change management. And then the underpinning of all of this is leading and managing the people on those teams. So these are offered as a series or as separate modules. They're offered in person and online. Please reach out to learn more about these trainings. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.